What is up, cool kids and Pallet University students? I'm Cool Trainer Gavin. First of all, I just want to apologize if you hear some clicking in the background. My heater in my room is being super weird, and I don't know why, and I don't know how to fix it. So it's just going to keep interrupting me every now and then. So yes, this video is going up on both of my two channels, whichever one you're not watching this video on. The link for it will be down in the description below. Feel free to check that channel out. It would make you feel all sorts of good deep down inside. So as we're approaching some most likely pretty big Generation 8 news, because if you did not know, there's a Pokemon Direct scheduled for February 26th, I believe, so about 10 days from the time I'm filming this. And I'm sure that they're going to announce the region, you know, probably show off one or two Pokemon, perhaps the first evolution of the starters, probably the professor, and what the, you know, the character art for the male and female protagonists, maybe a rival. I don't know. I really don't know how much they're going to reveal in it, but they're going to reveal something. And with that, I figured now would be as good a time as any to talk about what I want to see from Generation 8. So that's what we're doing today. It's going to be a mix of some sciencey things, as well as some gameplay things, just because that's who I am. You know, I love science. I have a science, you know, Pokemon Science dedicated channel, as well as I have a Nuzlocking / sometimes competitive Pokemon channel. So like me as one person, you know, I do both of those things. So this list is going to be comprised of 5 things that I want to see from Generation 8. First thing, I guarantee will be on nobody else's list because nobody else cares, but it's just something that I want to see because I'm nerdy. But I want to see them pay some more attention to the geology of the region. And yes, you know, I'm a geologist, I may be a little biased, but having more detail about the world of the game is never a bad thing, in my opinion, and I'm sure several other theorists will agree with me. And you know, I don't think that they should or really need to go into all that much detail. Like, I don't think they need to say, like, oh, Route 13 has a superficial layer of diabase, which is, you know, overlaying, you know, a 10-meter thick unit of granite. Like, that doesn't need to happen. As long as, you know, make more areas to the level of detail as like Vast Pony Canyon, or just give me something to work with, really, because probably the most fun video, or at least maybe the top 2 or 3 videos that I enjoyed making the most, is trying to figure out where Alola was on the map of you know, all the other regions. You can find the link to that video up there. Nope, wrong side. Up there. And I had so much fun making that video because I got to look at what limited geology there was in the Pokemon games, and I got to try and piece together the puzzle of where I think Alola belongs. So as long as they give me some kind of evidence that allows me to do that, I'll be happy. Number 2 on the list is something probably a little more people will want. Definitely more than, you know, the 1% of people that understand geology and understand those types of rocks that I was just talking about. But basically, I want them to make Route 1 interesting, specifically the Pokemon on Route 1. Because, you know, all through the Pokemon games, and Gen 7 did a fantastic job of this, don't get me wrong. Gen 7 did a great job, especially Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. But the previous 6 generations Route 1 was just so boring. Like, I mean, for Generation 1, they didn't have a lot of work to work with, I understand, but there was literally only Caterpie didn't belong there. There was literally only Pidgey and Rattata. That was it. Even in Yellow, when they went back through and, you know, added new Pokemon to different places, they still kept it that way. I don't know. So, some of the things that I'm thinking of are, like, and I might get a little flack for this, but Bidoof. Bidoof was the first time that they actually tried something different with the Route 1, like, generic rodent thing. Because with Generation 1, 2, and 3, you know, you had Rattata and Raticate, Sentret and Furret, and then Zigzagoon and Linoone. They suck. They're just objectively bad Pokemon. You could argue that Raticate's kind of alright, but it's not. They're all objectively bad. But they did something different in that they gave Bidoof's evolution, Bibarel, a secondary type. So, if you didn't pick Piplup as your starter, you had a water type at level 15, which you most likely could get to before the first badge, at least immediately after the first badge. So they did something different, and I want to see them keep doing things like that. Another, like, probably a better comparison, because it's a much better Pokemon, is Fletchling. You know, it starts off as your basic normal flying type bird, but then when it evolves, it gets fire type instead of normal. So if they do something like that, I'll be happy. And I really hope, just side tangent, that there's more than like 50 new Pokemon like they've done. I mean, I think Generation 6 had the least. I think they had like 65-ish new Pokemon. Gen 7 didn't have too much more than that, maybe like 70 something, but they at least had Alolan forms. Anyway, I hope there's a lot more than that in this generation. And they don't just keep recycling the same Route 1 Pokemon, Route 1 trash from every other generation. Either that, or to sort of go along with that, I guess, the latter part of that statement, just give us usable Pokemon. Maybe not overpowered Pokemon, obviously, because it's Route 1, but Pokemon that are decent, but evolve into something great. So, an example that I was thinking of is Riolu. Riolu is not very good, but Lucario's amazing. Lucario's a great Pokemon, and it's not like it's super easy to evolve either, because it evolves with friendship during the day. So, I think Riolu is pretty good Route 1 Pokemon, being that, A, it's a baby Pokemon, so obviously it's not that strong, but it has so much potential in it. So, basically, all around, just make Route 1 Mons more interesting. Alright, so number 3 on my list is use new animals as inspirations for the Pokemon, and or kind of a slash in there. You know, use designs that, you know, animals that have previously been used in different ways. So, just for the examples that I have written down on like my sort of script here, I have an elephant, because really there's only one elephant Pokemon, which, well, I guess elephant group, which is Donphan and Phanpy. Mamoswine isn't an elephant, it's a pig. It's just got, you know, mammoth in its name, but it's not an elephant. So I feel like they're really missing out. You can do a lot with an elephant. You can make it a water type, a fire type. You could, like, that'd be amazing, like a fire type elephant that just shoots flames out of its trunks with like tusks made out of fire, something like that. That'd be dope. A water type elephant that like squirts water. I don't know. You can do a lot with an elephant. Or things like a deer. Yeah, there's a decent amount of deer Pokemon, but I was thinking maybe for like a starter, because the red deer, or it's like stag, whatever it's called in the UK, because supposedly, according to some people, the region's going to be based on the UK. The red deer or stag is a very big, you know, icon of the UK. So going off of red, you can make like a fire type deer where its antlers are just this big massive fire coming out of its head. I think that would be so cool, even though we already have a handful, I don't know off the top of my head how many, but a handful of deer Pokemon. Could also use some other, you know, if it's based on the UK, I doubt they'll have too much in the way of things like dolphins, but it still blows my mind that there's no dolphin Pokemon. They really blew that chance with Alola, because like, it's a tropical place, dolphins love warm water. Duh, Game Freak, how did you not think of that? But the UK is also known for animals like hedgehogs, and in my opinion, I think that it's really cool that they're native there, but legless lizards. They're exactly what they sound like. They're not snakes, they are actually lizards, they just don't have legs. So they could do something kind of neat with that as well. So I guess sort of moving away from like design stuff, we get into number 4, which is make the starters competitive. And like, I don't think they need to like dominate OU or anything like that, but take a minute and think. There are 21 starter Pokemon. I mean, I guess if you want to include Pikachu from Yellow, so that'd be 22. Or so then Raichu is technically starter. I don't know how you want to consider that. Anyway, we'll just go with 21. How many of them, without Mega Evolution, because not all of them have that, without Mega Evolution, how many of them would be OU or UU? Not all that many. Probably just Swampert, Primarina, and Venusaur, because of Chlorophyll. And I want to say that's it. But if you could just make them better, because like things, it just made me so angry that Decidueye is one of the coolest Pokemon ever made. I don't think there's that many people who will be like, Decidueye sucks, Decidueye is stupid, it's a bad design. just purely talk about aesthetics. Nobody says that about a Decidueye. But its stats are just so, like, underwhelming. It's a very well-rounded Pokemon, and in its tier, it does okay. Like, it's a Defogger. Its Spirit Shackle is a pretty usable move because it lets you, trap Pokemon, lets you predict your opponent easier. But it's just not good. Even in-game, I didn't use it all that much when I played through Sun the first time because it was just not good. So, like, I don't know, just make the starters better. Make them better Pokemon. Whatever you gotta do. Give them better hidden abilities. Give them a better moveset. Give them a better type. There's still so many type combinations that could be used with Fire, Water, Grass that just haven't been used yet. Or haven't been seen since, like, Torterra being Grass Ground has not been seen since Torterra. That's the only Pokemon that's that type. Same thing with Empoleon. Empoleon is the only Water Steel type Pokemon. I don't know how they haven't done something with that yet, but come on, Game Freak, get on your stuff. And finally, to close it out, number 5, and also something that probably not that many other people will have on their list, is I want good fossil Pokemon. Generation 6 by far has my favorite fossil Pokemon. So I was really looking forward to Gen 7's fossil Pokemon, and then they just didn't have any. So, which I guess makes sense because being volcanic islands, lava is generally really bad at preserving fossils because it just burns everything. So it's understandable that they didn't have fossil Pokemon. I get it. But the UK, if we're still going off of the assumption that this region can be based off of the UK is hugely known for basically where modern paleontology got its start. I remember learning in one of my first geology classes about somebody discovering the first ichthyosaur, which is like it's a superficially like fish-like lizard. That's what the name ichthyosaur means. It means fish lizard. Literally walking along some cliffs along the beach and seeing the skeleton just literally just chilling in the rock, and they were like, "What's going on here?" So that would be super dope. So there's really well-known animals that are known from fossils in the UK. As well as some things like Iguanodon being a very well-known dinosaur. It was one of the first put on display, also in the UK as well. I don't think it was found there, but it's, I specifically remember seeing this big portrait of an Iguanodon standing next to a guy. And it was, in London. I have no idea where I found it, where I remember seeing that from, but another aspect that they could go with it as well is, for a long time, I'm going back to elephants, by the way, for a long time, Rome occupied what is now the UK in the Roman Empire. As such, they had their war elephants up there, in pretty decent numbers. So I'm sure several of them died while they were there. So that'd be kind of neat to base a fossil off of like the Roman war elephants. I think that'd be really cool because once again, elephants are just super underrepresented in Pokemon in general. So those are my top 5 things that I want to see in Generation 8 when it gets here in, I believe, November is when it's scheduled for. Hopefully, I mean, they've been doing that every year since I think like 2015, I think, is when they started putting out games every November. Hopefully. And let's also keep our fingers crossed for a new Mystery Dungeon game because I've literally been wanting that for like so long because the ones on 3DS were so bad. Anyway, side tangent. Moving on. Let me know your thoughts down below on what you're excited for in Generation 8. And if you enjoyed this video as much as I did, please like and or subscribe. Feel free to check out the other channel, whichever one you're not watching. Like I said at the beginning, link will be down below. And as always, there's a time and place for everything.